So it's no secret that us ADHDers can struggle with relationships. After a lifetime of separations, breakups, and heartache, we can get to a point where we think, am I just better off single? So I'm going to break down why we think this, why this is such a powerful illusion to fall for, and what we can do about it. So I've worked with a lot of ADHDers through their relationships, and a lot of them approach things with the same idea in their mind. My ADHD gets in the way of my relationship, so I'm just going to stay single. It's not even worth the effort. And, usually the relationship is either broken down or is at a stage where they've fallen into the common parent-child relationship pattern that can happen with ADHD relationships. But the first problem is not the relationship pattern. The first problem is that already their mind has gone into overcorrection mode. So for example, you've had challenges in the relationship. You've never managed to fully resolve them, so they never really get fixed. And then as you see the relationship start to get more damaged, instead of leaning into the relationship to try to work on it, you actually go the other way and you pull away from it. You hyper-focus on the idea of breaking up or being single. And you can start to convince yourself that relationships aren't for you and that you're better off alone and that this person isn't the right person for you after all because of A, B, C, X, Y, Z. You basically go from all in on the relationship to all out. You overcorrect the ship. And this is very black and white thinking. It's very all or nothing. And let's face it, we can all be like that kid who says, it's my ball and I'm going home. And it feels good to think about it in the moment because it's kind of like a protective mechanism. It's our minds trying to deal with the hurt of a relationship headed in the wrong direction. And it's convincing us that the problem is simply that relationships are not for us. But it's not true. It's an illusion. This is what we call the lone wolf illusion. So the lone wolf illusion is a lie that we tell ourselves, where we convince ourselves that we are strongest alone, we don't need anyone else in life, that relationships are not for us, and that we should live life as this powerful lone wolf wandering life's trials alone. But this isn't true. In fact, this illusion's power comes from how easy it is to fall for. The lone wolf illusion convinces you of two things. One, that you're stronger alone, and two, relationships are completely out of your control. So I want to break down these two parts. So the first point, the idea that you're stronger alone. The reality is that no one lives in a bubble. We all need to interact with other people. Friends, colleagues, family, partners, the local mailman. And unless you're one of those doomsday preppers who live in the middle of a forest in Idaho, you're going to spend most of your life interacting with other people. So there will always be work involved in relationships, in growing connections between other people. The problem is that most people don't know what work needs to be done. Which brings me on to the second part of the illusion, is that it convinces you that relationships are completely out of your control. So yes, relationships, ADHD relationships in particular, can have some similar patterns, but they are no harder or easier than the problems in any other relationship. All of these challenges are able to be overcome, but with the right tools. So with that being said, what can be done to make relationships work for people with ADHD? Well, actually, it's kind of counterintuitive. The main way to make relationships work is not actually to focus on the other person, but to actually focus on your self-growth. In fact, I would go as far to say that to make any relationship work, self-growth is key. And to do this, you can take an honest look at your past relationships and look at where you can improve. Make a plan of action to work on that. Now, of course, I understand the first reaction to this is usually, but what about my partner? If they won't change, why should I change? But I want you to think about it this way. If you have things that you need to work on, whether you're in this relationship or the next one, or try to live life as a lone wolf, those things that you need to work on exist regardless of who you're with. So these are things to work on regardless. But if you only have the mindset of, I'll only work on myself if my partner will, then what that tells your partner is that you're so focused on pointing out other people's flaws that you're not willing to work on your own. And then usually the next question that crops up is, isn't it inauthentic to change yourself for another person? So some people may tell you that it's inauthentic to change yourself for a relationship. But if you're changing yourself because it's something that you need to work on, then that, to me, is actually the peak of authenticity. Because you're basically saying, this is something that I can recognize as a weakness in myself, and I want to work on it. Yes, it will increase the likelihood of a successful relationship, but that's not the reason why you're doing it. When it comes to changing yourself in a relationship, people think of it like this, where you have everything that you are, everything that you do, and all of your interests and ideas, and then the other person, which is who they are, all their ideas. And they think that changing is shifting all of this over to that person over there, to what they like, to what they want to do, to what they want you to be. But the fact is that It's actually more like this. Here's where you are, here's your interests, your ideas, everything about you. Here's where your partner is and all of their interests. But you can actually just expand yourself out so you don't lose any of your interests, any of your ideas, any of your identity. You can simply expand your identity and grow, but you can just add on to it. You don't have to leave the old parts of you behind in order to grow and to become better. Some people say the right person will love you regardless. You should find yourself a relationship you can be completely yourself in. And to that, there's a quote that has always stuck with me. And that quote says, there are precisely two places where you can be completely yourself. The first one is alone. The second one is in a room completely filled with people who talk, think, feel, and act exactly like you. For every other situation, you have to learn how to interact with other people. And this is the reality, because the first two scenarios are impossible. You can't simply be alone all the time, nor will you ever find one single person who will talk, think, feel, and act exactly like you. We're all completely unique. We've all experienced many different things. And you know what? I get it. If you want to keep doing that, trying to find a relationship that requires zero change or growth in your part, then I get that. In fact, that's an option that a lot of people try to take. But what that means is that you're essentially spending your time looking for someone exactly like you. But the way that I see that is it's kind of like having a plan to become a millionaire by looking for a winning lottery ticket. I'm not saying that it can't work. It just seems like a really ineffective use of your energy. If you want to become a millionaire, why not just learn the skills to make money? So yes, we can fall for the lone wolf illusion, but for me, growing, changing, and evolving who you are is a much more effective solution. And from that, our relationships will grow, and then we'll get to be the best version of ourselves for us and the people around us. And then we have all the benefits that come from having great relationships and being in a team with other people. And if you want more on relationships, then I'm going to leave you with this playlist here. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you over there.